Last chance to look at me, Hector. This should make you feel better.
This is Snake. Do you read me, Otacon?
Loud and clear, Snake.
Kept you waiting, huh?
Yeah. Hello, good morning, everyone. How are you doing today? Fractured Filter here for another little episode of Respawn Roast Cantina. I hope you're all doing well today. I'll try not to go too much into any preamble because we're starting. We a bit late and gay. What can I say? I just was kind of going a little slow this morning, and then I just got trapped in suddenly when I was grabbing some extra news takes that I wanted to find for a particular topic. I suddenly was like, oh, interesting. One place it was a little quiet. And hello, good morning. Okay, so is it underscore Flern? Which I hear so many different versions now, but hail to you as well. Hope you're doing well this morning. But yeah, so I suddenly lost track of what I was doing. I got so wrapped up and being like, whoa, that's interesting. Why aren't they they're covering one console, but not the other. Well, what's going on here? So what can I say? I got a little sidetracked as I was still trying to post everything and get everything out there, but no big deal. No big deal. We're here. We're going. We're just 20 minutes late. That's all. Dash or underscore are most common. Okay. Is there a preference that you have? I'll usually go by what people will prefer. I just don't adhere to other weird things that people get into. But also part of me being not quite, a little late and dermy. Yeah. A little bit. Yeah. But I also wanted to make sure I had a nice, hot, fresh cup of coffee, so I was ready to go. Because we got topics. We got our topics today. Oh, yes, we do. Dash is fine? Then dash it is. I'll try and make a mental note of that, dash. All right, cool. Now, we'll jump right on into it. Like I said, less preamble. Let's go for it. But we have this day in gaming. All right, what do we have here? 33 years ago. We got our oldest one. 33 years. Oof. I am older than Echo the Dolphin. But yes, we had Echo the Dolphin on the Genesis. One game I've tried playing, just never really got into it. Police Knots. 32 years ago. I could have sworn Police Knots, wasn't that? I know, yeah, Konami. Or is it more something that Hideo Kojima referenced in Metal Gear Solid? Because I could have sworn he worked on it too. And I thought it was older than 94. Huh. Anyway. Seaman. The name alone. I didn't have a Dreamcast, never played it. I don't even think a buddy of mine who had a Dreamcast went around to playing this one. Now that you have obtained your own Seaman egg, use the faithful recreation of Dr. Gass's Dr. Gas laboratory to follow in his footsteps, uncovering the secrets of Seaman. Seaman. When the Seaman egg hatches, the adventure begins. Oh, God. There it is. Oh, no. Alright, we also, that was 27 years ago, 1999. See what we got away with in the 90s, folks? The Mark of Kree. Jaffa Kree! Kree? I don't know. PlayStation 2, 24 years ago. Digimon Rumble Arena 2, 22 years ago. Nice, 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 nice. Final Fantasy 1 and 2, Dawn of Souls, Game Boy Advance. I need to go back and play the original Final Fantasies. I think I've started games for them, but I've just never gone through them completely. And I really should. And I mean, maybe this would be probably a good way to do it, since this is I'm guessing kind of a remaster. I know it's not a remake. Relive the first 2 chapters in the Final Fantasy saga, this time with all new story elements and gameplay. Interesting. Now you can experience new dungeons, storylines, and characters. Furthermore, you can master the enhanced control system and can save your game at any time. That's kind of like a save state feature for an emulator. I don't know about that. Like, that kind of takes away from the just the way the old game had played. And it's funny, ever since I started using emulators that are connected with retro achievements, I've gotten less and less into using save states. So, that's kind of the funny thing. In Final Fantasy, you control a group of heroes on a mission to save a kingdom in turmoil. The sequel lets you swap out members of your parties during the game, allowing you to experience the adventure with more characters. Huh. See, now that's where, like, I like the idea of a remaster and everything, but then at the same time, when you change up story elements, mess with things that maybe weren't necessarily originally there, that kind of makes me go, maybe I'll just, like, you know, find like a fan texture mod or something like that, a ROM hack or something that'll do that for the old games, and then play it in its original source material, basically. Because, you know, I that's what I want to experience. That's why you go back and want to play some of these old games, is experience the original source material. And that is kind of the cool thing with like ROM hacks, is that you can especially find things that are like script modifiers to get them closer to the original script of the games and stuff like that. Because like it was, localization back in the 90s and everything was not that great. Like, I mean, they was still good. They were still doing a pretty fine job for all intents and purposes. But they, for some of the limitations on certain machines because of characters and stuff, like for like English characters versus Japanese characters, they had to shorten things down here and there, and couldn't fit as much as, say, it would have been for the Japanese and stuff like that. So that's kind of the cool thing with those sort of ROM hacks that you can find. Because I know I found a couple. One for Breath of Fire 2, which means I need to go back through that game and play it. I think I've got one for Breath of Fire 1 as well. But I'd love to play through the Breath of Fire games with their true script. And I believe finally something's getting released for Final Fantasy 7 at some point. That's more of a... But at the same time, like, it's kind of the funny dichotomy with that one, because it's like, I love Final Fantasy 7, and I love just the quirks and weirdness of some of the script and stuff like that, and the characters and the way they behave, the way they're presented. But I would still love to see a faithful script recreation to get it more closer, just to kind of really see, because I mean, from my perspective of having played even that game, like, I get a different take on the characters and maybe what was originally intended, so to speak. So it'd be kind of interesting. Dash says, somebody came up with a new nickname the other day. Undies. I don't prefer that one. Oh, no. Well, undies we will not be using. That's all good. We got Dash, so and then that makes me think of Dash Rendar. So that's all tops in my book. Dash says Kratos will be recruiting you to play these on backdoor. Oh boy. Well, I thought that was some kind of cool. I like his idea with that whole like going to games that people haven't played and then having somebody as that spotter and stuff like that. Like, I like that idea. That's really a cool idea. I just don't see like where my timetables would match up to be able to join them for that sort of thing. Because it would be fun, and it would be fun to play a game that I have not played and then kind of go through that sort of thing. So, but I sometimes like I want to. And that's why I'm really kind of iffy on streaming the Halo, the like kind of the very first Halo campaign through the Master Chief Collection, because I asked Melee James what would be a preferred way. Look for the original game, play the anniversary, or play it through Master Chief. He recommended the Master Chief Collection, so I'm like, okay. But with that sort of game, like I've been debating on, but he's a stream it for like those first time reactions. I'm kind of like, I'm half and half. Like, I do want to stream it. I think it'd be a good one to stream, especially since it's the first time going. It'll be my first time going through the campaign, because I've played the multiplayer with the Melee Games community. That's been a blast. It's been a whole lot of fun anytime we do that. But I've not gotten through the campaigns for any of those games. I played through Reach. I think I mentioned this last week. I've played through Reach, but I didn't pay attention to the story. I didn't care. I was more doing the co-op with people and everything and helping them get through the game on, like, I think different difficulties, and I was just there to have some fun. So I wasn't totally paying attention to the storylines and stuff like that. It didn't interest me at the time. I tried, but I just couldn't get it. But I was like, okay, I should try and get through these games, especially the first three. But I've been like, do I want to do it streaming to have the audience to also kind of react to, or do I want like just my undivided attention onto that game? Because I feel like that's where I'd get kind of split. Like, I'd be split between keeping an eye on the game while playing the game, but also keeping an eye on the chat and stuff like that while streaming. I don't know. I've been kind of... So... But like I said, it's a cool idea that he has for having somebody spot and keep an eye on the chat while the other person plays the game and stuff. Anyway, back to this. 22 years ago, we had Mega Man X Command Mission. Yu-Gi-Oh! Capsule Monster Coliseum on the PlayStation 2. MLB Power Pros 2008. Soul Calibur 4. I don't think I played the Soul. Was it 4? I did play. Was this the one with Darth Vader, Yoda? Because I'm trying to remember which version, because I know there is... Okay, so this isn't the one with the GameCube? Yeah, I know I played the Soul Calibur that had, I got the one with the one that had Link, because I thought that was so cool. And I think, what was it? The other one was like, oh god, I forget now. I forget the because that was kind of cool that they had like different characters on the different versions of the consoles and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, Link in a fighting game. Let's freaking go. Because I think that was when we had Smash Bros. But it was like, it feels different when you got into like a proper fighting game like this. Let's see. Hatsune Miku, Project Diva, second, 16 years ago. Metal Max 3 on the DS, 16 years ago as well. Got a lot of 16 years ago. Let's see. Sengoku Basara Samurai Heroes. Virtua Fighter 5 Final Showdown. There was one of the Virtua Fighters I really got into. It might have been, I don't know if it was this one or what, but I mean, it felt much more of a technical fighter than what I was used to. Because I was used to playing like Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, which are very much, yes, arcade fighters. And, well, I guess Tekken is a little more involved. But Virtua Fighter, like, it felt like there was a lot more going on for it. And the way you had to do some moves and stuff like that. I think I've come across this name before and I always butcher it. Why is the versus Trails in the Sky Alternative Saga? Now, until 11 years ago, we got Absolute Drift, Fate Grand Order, some mobile slop there, Dragon Quest XI Echoes of an Elusive Age. That's funny though. It's the 3DS version there. I got this. I'm so pissed at Square for this because they released this on PC and I did pick it up, and I still need to get back to it. I played through a portion of the game. I forgot how far I got, but then I got really frustrated when I started hearing about some of the censorship that took place for it, and then there was the whole aspect of the Nintendo version got special content for it, which kind of cheesed me a little bit more. And then they finally did like a special edition re-release for the goddamn game, and it's like, oh, by the way, even though you already bought it, you have to re-buy it. So that kind of cheesed me off. I've been now sour on back to sour on that in general. I'm like, God damn it, fuckers. Yeah. Fuga Melodies of Steel 5 years ago. Dragon Quest was 9 years ago. Jesus. The Ascent, Digimon Survive 4 years ago. Xenoblade Chronicles 3 4 years ago on the Nintendo Switch. I thought Xenoblade Chronicles 3 was on the Wii U as well. Huh. Probably wrong. Let's see here. Blue Reflection Quartet comes out today. And Mistfall Hunter is out today as well. So those are your two new releases for today of July. Wait, we are still in July, right? Yes. July 29th, 2026. Let's see what this Mistfall Hunter is. In the wake of an epic war between gods and outer gods, all deities have fallen. Their blood has turned into Gilden Mist, a corrosive force that sweeps across the land, warping the souls of the living and driving them to madness and monstrous mutations. Wait a minute, what's that? I feel like I've heard that plot before. Wasn't that kind of the plot, or something similar with like the corrosive mist of damn it, was it not Legend of... Was it... No, not Legend of Legaia. Was it? Crap, now I'm trying to remember. Oh. I didn't know I still had that one open. Hang on. Now I'm trying to... It was a PlayStation game. Maybe, was it Legend? Not Mana. Oh, it was. Okay, yeah. I was thinking of Legend of Legaia. Cause I could have sworn that was like some of it too. Like you went around and then clearing out the fog and mist and stuff like that. I could be wrong, but I'm just kind of trying to check the story. I'm like, wait a minute, that sounds familiar. Let's see. Game is set in a fantasy world where humanity exists alongside strange magical creatures called Seru, who aid humanity with supernatural powers, either as independent creatures or by directly attaching to a human. However, when a mysterious mist appears, the Seru become rampant, causing the collapse of civilization. Vaughn, a resident of Rimelm, is introduced on the eve of his first hunt, which would lead into the mist-covered areas outside the large wall of Rimelm. The small village has at its center a Genesis tree. Okay, and then the Genesis trees I think are what help. During evening before Vaughn's hunt, a giant Seru blows apart the wall of the village, allowing the mist and changed Seru to attack the villagers. Vaughn hears a call echoing out to him from the center of town. There, Vaughn discovers a rare kind of Seru known as a Rasaru, who's named Meta. Meta informs Vaughn that it is capable bonding with him, and unlike common Seru, it is not affected by the mist. But that it does need to bond with Vaughn to permit the awakening of the town's Genesis tree. And then that's how you kind of go through and start doing that. I'm sorry, I couldn't help but like I read that and I was like, wait a minute, I've heard that sort of plot line before, have I not? Can't help it. So from the shadows steps Dew, a mysterious girl with the power to resurrect fallen heroes and grant them immortal bodies. Under Dew's guidance, these reborn champions, known as guild hunters, shall enter into the heart of peril and harvest gildenized creatures, Gildenblood, for one sacred purpose: to mend the shattered web of fate and rekindle hope in a world on the brink of oblivion. Mistfall Hunter is a third-person action PvP, PvE, extraction RPG. Combine skills, talents, and gear for each class in thrilling combat. Whether you team up or go solo, one thing remains certain: only by fighting your way through can you return with a full haul. More looter shooters. Or, extraction shooters. I guess that's unfair. I can't say shooter because it just says extraction RPG. So let's see. Let's just take that here. Let's find it, see it. Why not? Let's take a little detour here. Oh, gosh darn it. Come back, you. Oh, piss off, Halo. I don't care. At least not about that version. Let's see here. I don't care about that either. Go away. Dash says, Enshrouded 2024 has mist that causes mutations and stuff too. Sounds familiar. I guess that's just kind of one of those tropes, right? That's in gaming. Oh, so it'll unlock in approximately 12 hours. Excuse me. Sorry. At least 12 hours. Yeah, 12 hours from now. Let's sure, why not? Let's check out. Let me pause that. Okay. Let's take a peek here. Why not?
As the strings of fate tremble, guild hunters awaken once more.
Oh, okay, so that's the pretense for then creating your character, is she's the one. Okay, I got it now. Because I was like, oh, okay, so that's your character that you're playing as, and then resurrecting heroes to help you go, or player, or whatever. Yeah, resurrecting the heroes to go through, but now that's the whole thing to get you to create your character, get you into the game and stuff like that. You're one of the resurrected heroes.
Mist gathers, guild blood pulses, calling forth the fearless.
I mean, I hate to say this, it's kind of got that whole like standard third person hack and slash RPG look to it. I guess some would probably say like Dark Souls looking. I could see that, especially with more of the kind of dark medieval theme going on right now.
In the hunt for hallowed riches, the greatest threat may not be menacing.
But then you're set against other heroes.
Get on. The law is simple, yet merciless.
I mean, I hate to say it, like I said, it to me it does have like that kind of look of like something like Dark Souls or maybe even like Dragon's Dogma and stuff like that. Sure, it could be fun. Just the whole extraction, it even has the extraction shooter there. Just that whole aspect, like, I mean, it's good that like it is online co-op and stuff like that, but then it does throw in that whole aspect of then yeah, you go up against other people. And although wait, that doesn't. Oh no, there's the PvP tag. Yeah, third person action. Soul. Okay, there's Souls like dark fantasy extraction shooter, dungeon crawler, battle royale. Yeah, I mean, I'd probably mainly stick to like PvE sort of the PvE content if I were to. Otherwise, I mean, it's got a cool. It's got good style to it, good design from the looks of it. Could be fun, but I mean, also it's online, so it could be jank as hell. Oh, use kernel level anti-cheat bell ring anti-cheat. I'm not familiar with that one. Requires agreement to a third party EULA from Mistfall Hunter EULA. But I mean, hey, if that's your bag, there you go. And that covers this day in gaming. Bada boom, bada bing. Because I don't think I need to go into the more weeb looking game. All right. Seeing I'm like, well, where do I want to go next? So I want to go into some of the bigger, heavier stuff. well, maybe I should, and then kind of end on the more lighter thing that I have in mind here. It's always the curiosity. It's like, how do you want to kind of branch these out? And I'm still and there's been so much goofy controversy too with this whole Halo remake drop, and you get a lot of the usual talking points when it comes to remakes. It gets real because it's like, also, yeah, there's gonna be differences in the remake to the original because it's a remake, but that really depends on what you're wanting out of the said remake. Because like the System Shock 1 remake kept everything faithful to the original game for the most part. Everything, story, levels, you name it. And yet, like these other remakes that we see out there, we see such great deviations from the source material, from the original storylines, a la Final Fantasy, and all of that. And it's just, this is kind of, I guess, the unfortunate event that we just kind of can't get a consensus on what should be kind of a proper remake. And we're just kind of fumbling with all that sort of stuff. Excuse me. Because I've even heard like was it the Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2 remakes are good. But then, like, after that, because I guess they switched up teams, the gameplay got severely messed up and not feeling nearly the same as the originals did. Or the 1 and 2 remake. Where did I... See, this is why I gotta get my ass back into actually putting things aside again. I think I overshot. Because where was? Ah, there we go. Well, do I want to go into... Okay, so on the topic of remakes and stuff like that, I did come across this because one other developer out there kind of gave a warning. But yeah, so because there's been recent rumor now of a Final Fantasy 6, 8, or 9 remakes, and this is, I've seen more of like 9 in particular has been mentioned recently for remake, and it says so Final Fantasy 6, 8, or 9 remakes would need even more games than the Final Fantasy 7 trilogy, which honestly, I mean, I still think they could have done better with the 7 remake personally, if they kept it more in line with the actual original storyline instead of doing this basically big what if Sephiroth tries to rewrite the story, tries to change history, tries to revise history. Yoshi P warns we'd probably end up having to release them in 4 or maybe even 5 installments. But again, that because they've condensed the storyline of 7 considerably. There's supposed to be much more that, you know, takes place and keeps things a lot more, I guess, stretched out, but then that's also part of the gameplay of then traversing the world and getting to these locations and stuff like that. But I feel like it's been condensed, but then they've condensed it, but then added a bunch of silly fluff, and again for the what if storylines, because they're really especially after this most recent remake, the sequel to it, to the Final Fantasy VII remake, with what was going on with Zack. It's like I said, they're going for some silly buggers. Like I've been starting to call it too. I have called it before too. Like it's Final Fantasy VII, the multiverse of madness. Because now you're getting into alternate timeline tier bullshit and what ifs and just because like it's like what if Zack survived for the sequel. They do a whole like thing of what if Zack survived, got to Midgar, but everybody had apparently died. So I got a weird feeling they're leading towards like basically resurrecting Zack, or at least like this alternate version of Zack. He's gonna come into the main timeline. It's gotten ridiculous. Anyways, at least if the JRPGs were remade in the same fashion. Careful what you wish for, Final Fantasy fans. Potential future remakes of other games in the series would probably require even more individual parts than the Final Fantasy VII Remake trilogy. At least if they were remade in that same style, according to Final Fantasy XIV's Naoki Yoshida. The MMORPG director said as much during a panel at FanFest Berlin, with Final Fantasy Remake lead Naoki Hamaguchi also in attendance, warning folks that the wait for an entire remake of Final Fantasy VI, for example, would be even more painfully long than what we've become accustomed to. While Final Fantasy VI has its fan base, it's not nearly to the same level, and I'm not like talking down on Final Fantasy VI or nothing. It just did not have the same exposure, and certainly not nearly the same explosion of popularity. I guess that just kind of goes into the exposure thing, but it didn't hit the same way for people the way Final Fantasy VII did at the time, because like, Final Fantasy VII just exploded. And I mean, we eventually got a movie, we've gotten spin-offs, we got Dirge of Cerberus, which is a kind of janky fucking game to play. I tried replaying it recently. And, of course, we got Crisis Core. There's been, like, anime spin-offs. Mainly, like, there was, trying to remember what it was called. But there was, like, the whole anime thing for Zack and Cloud when they bust out of the experiment pods or whatever in Nibelhelm, Nibeltits. But then the journey getting to Midgar and then that whole thing. And honestly, I still prefer the scene from the original game. It's a lot more bleak and kind of to the game's mood and setting. Wow, now they've just gotten really silly buggers with it because it's just gotten so overdone. Because now it's like, oh, you got Zack who faces off against an army of soldiers, especially with Crisis Core. Crisis Core at the end, that's what happens. You face off against an army of Shinra soldiers. And they've like I know the whole the soldier first class is supposed to be, they're supposed to be like the peak of the soldier of the whole thing for Shinra, but like now they've just basically gotten them to near superhero tier stuff. Like almost like, you know, it might as well just be Dragon Ball Z. Zack just powers up and starts going madhouse. But I don't think it. So my back to my initial point is I don't know, for some of these remakes, like I said, Final Fantasy VII made sense because of the popularity and everything, but also because like we had that tease back in the day with the PlayStation 3, the whole Final Fantasy VII tech demo. Everybody got really freaking hyped, and we were waiting, but it never came to fruition. So some of us, like myself, just kind of gave up on the whole idea. And that's why I have not cared to play it. I've only watched, yes, the storylines just to know what was going on in this remake. But yeah, so and for a remake, like, I didn't expect the Final Fantasy VII remake to stick to turn-based action, turn-based RPG sort of stuff that they were known for. But I think that also kind of hurt them, because Square's kind of lost their identity a little bit over time, because they've been going more the whole action RPG route. But crap, now I kind of but anyway, it's like for these other Final Fantasies, I just don't know if there's the same fervent fan base, other than maybe now with the whole remake crowd, and as rabid as I've heard some of them being, that might be what they're hoping to lean on. But last I knew, like, even Final Fantasy VII, the sales have been dropped with from the first remake to the second remake, so they may not touch doing remakes for a while. Who knows? But anyways, the MMORPG director said as much during a panel at FanFest Berlin. Oh, okay. Go away. Quote, "Of course, I understand the feelings of the players, but you gotta think about it." Yoshi P says, per translator of fan requests for future series remakes, look at Final Fantasy VI. It's such an incredibly huge game. The scale is just immense. But the same argument is true for other games in the series, like Final Fantasy VIII and IX, he adds. So, of course, now because you are working on the Final Fantasy VII series, I do get that people would be asking for remakes of other titles, but if we did remake those other titles, we'd probably end up having to release them in 4 or maybe even 5 installments. I would see if they were trying to redo 6, you'd probably be at 5 or so installments. But again, it depends on if they're gonna take this whole silly shit of remaking the story, or rewriting the story. And that's why I'm still so adamantly against the Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic remake, because they talked about rewriting the story. You don't need to rewrite the story. Like, you can remake the gameplay, remake it in terms of like gameplay, absolutely. But although, like, with the whole what is that goddamn game? That freaking French turn-based game, Expedition 33. They kind of revived the turn-based gameplay format. So, I mean, you could do a Knights of the Old Republic remake, stay probably true to some of the gameplay mechanics and stuff, and having that turn-based style, while at the same time, you know, spicing it up, redoing the environments, making it maybe seem, especially like Terra, seem more big and grand, more to maybe like a Coruscant sort of level, although Terrace is kind of the Timu Coruscant. But maybe even then, like, you can maybe some flavor here and there, sure. Expand on certain spots, like when you get to Dantooine and start doing the Jedi training all over again. Maybe add a little bit more for that, some extra side missions on Dantooine and everything. Expand the planet a little bit more to go around on, you know, little things like that, but maintain the core storyline, because the storyline is also what got people into these particular games. Role-playing games are all about the story. So a lot of times with the games, I do think gameplay comes first, absolutely, storyline second, and so on. But for a role-playing game, yes, you need to have a good core gameplay. Otherwise, you know, people may not want to go near it anyways. But I'd say the story is the big essential part for a role-playing game. That's what you really need to make the real source of the game itself, because that's what's going to keep people's attention. If you hook people with that storyline, dragging them in, making them more and more invested, they'll overlook certain gameplay aspects. Like, some people have overlooked Knights of the Old Republic's turn-based for the story, for the characters, what just what they're doing, what they're telling for the story that got people so involved in it, with everything from Revan. You got Candace in the Mandalorian side of things, which you could listen to him talk for hours. But then the whole, then you got the dynamics of going light side, dark side, having those different choices sprinkled throughout the game, all that sort of stuff. But when you talk about wanting to rewrite everything, change the core, change the story, that is certainly where you lose me when it comes to some with these remakes. But that's why I then love the System Shock remake, because that's staying true to a storyline. They just, kind of revamp the first person shooter aspects of it and everything, just to kind of get a little bit more that comfortable, less clunky old school approach, and more the modern, mouse and keyboard setup and all of that. And now also like controller support and everything. So that's the sort of stuff that they need to kind of maintain. Yes, up the visuals and all that. Because that I can see as also part of a remake, when you really do completely like remake environments to new standards and stuff like that for visuals. A remaster is when in my opinion, when you just kind of go through and update the textures. And that's what I basically do with Knights of the Old Republic. I'll get texture mods and technically remaster it myself with those particular mods, and make all the character models and stuff like that look a lot better. The environments look a lot better, the skyboxes and everything as well. That to me is like what constitutes more of like a remaster. A remake, yes, can get into like I said, changing up some gameplay, but you want to sometimes keep that core, but maintaining the storyline. You can add some flavor here or there, but don't completely change the identity of the game itself. You still need that familiarity. And that's even like, people, yeah. Anyways. So Final Fantasy games Final Fantasy games used to be absolutely huge in their scope because the developers couldn't render everything in excruciating detail as they can now. And that's both a gift and a curse, like a, double-edged sword sort of thing. Nor did they need to. Final Fantasy VI was able to fit 14 playable characters, a huge world map that dramatically changed throughout the adventure, and countless epic fights onto a humble SNES cartridge. You can imagine how doing all of that in a game with Final Fantasy VII Rebirth's production value would be tricky. At FanFest, Hamaguchi explained that he felt ahead of Final Fantasy VII Revelation, Hamaguchi himself made clear that a hypothetical remake of Final Fantasy VI would be in better hands with another developer anyway. He seems more keen on doing something new after Revelation ships. At FanFest, Hamaguchi explained that he felt incredibly lucky that so many developers stayed together for all three games in the Final Fantasy VII Remake trilogy back to back. Quote, "That's why I can't just sit here and go, yeah, I'll remake 6, because it's not quite that easy." At least he's realistic about it. Perhaps the way forward for Final Fantasy remakes is the upcoming Final Fantasy Resonance, a gorgeous pixel art game that with turn-based combat, rather than the giant world of the Final Fantasy remake games. And isn't Resonance... Yeah, it was like originally a mobile game. I could have sworn it was like originally like a mobile game or something like that, and now they've brought it over to, it looks like it's saying the Switch 2. Yeah, because it's part of Nintendo Direct. Play on both Nintendo Switch and Switch 2. Like I said, I could have sworn this was like originally a free-to-play mobile game. Yeah, that's what it was. Oh, wait, Lapis says, shares the world with Final Fantasy Brave Exvius, the now dead free-to-play mobile RPG, and it sort of looks like a remake, honestly. So, yeah, there's that. And I think I had one more thing on this front. Where was it? Yeah, here we go. Oh, what? Fine. So this was another article on this subject. I want this guy to make Final Fantasy 17. Yoshi P embarrasses Final Fantasy 7 remake lead with the highest praise you can get from players live on stage at Final Fantasy 14 Fan Fest. Oh, okay, so wait, no, this is more of a. Okay, so that's more for like sequel territory, but yeah. So when it comes to, like I said, when it comes to like the remakes and stuff like that, or remakes in general, not just Final Fantasy. I wish they would for the Final Fantasy 7 remake. I wish they'd stuck to the core storyline, and yeah, like I said, you could have added some extra flavor here or there, a little extra side stuff, but maintain the core storyline that got a lot of us into that game, and also keep some of the beats because, and I noticed that there was some awkwardness to some of the storylines when I was watching the Final Fantasy VII Remake storyline. But hang on, I'm trying to. I really need to. Curtail my my watch or follow list on YouTube here. Where was it? Where is it? This is what I get for also I don't watch some. I don't. I've been cycling through so much different content right now. Oh, let's see. All right, hang on. Oh, that's funny. One of my clipped out segments popped. Okay, Sebi Webs. He's done a lot of comparison videos, or at least talked. He's done a lot of comparisons of Final Fantasy VII Remake versus the original for some scenes and stuff like that. And it's really interesting to see the differences too, because Final Fantasy VII, the original, certain scenes especially just flow so much better. They stay consistent with the action that's going on, and it keeps that flowing and going and keeping you pumped up. While in Final, like for example, when you are busting out of the Shinra Tower, when you first break in in Midgar and everything, before you get out into the big open world, you're busting out of that tower. That whole great cinematic scene, Cloud traveling up the stairs and they're crashing out through the window and then onto the highway, and boom, they're going. And then it gets you right back into the gameplay, and then you start that whole segment of fighting off the Shinra soldiers that are coming to attack you and your team and everything. While in then the remake, they go through that scene, crash out through the window, but then they cut away. They cut away into a whole other scene, and really just, it nosedives the action and intensity of what was just going on. And then when you do cut back to the heroes, there's still this slow down time before they even get into the whole segment of clashing with the Shinra soldiers. So like I said, it just to a halt stalled the action and just lost a lot of that intensity. And also kind of made no sense that it took so long for then the Shinra soldiers that were just following them, just had, you know, guns trained on them, took so long to finally catch back up, even though, like, they weren't on a different highway or anything. They were, like, practically on the still, you know. So it just... It like I said, there's too many changes that also went on throughout it in the core storyline in general. And they lost a lot of the tension and suspense with changing up these scenes. Yes, you have better graphics, but that doesn't mean you have better direction for the game. The people that made the original really knew what they were doing with directing and setting up the scenes and stuff like that. Nowhere near compared. Sorry. Anyways, that has been my little rant for when it comes to the remakes and talk of Final Fantasy remakes as well. I honestly hope this is going to be the last of it with Final Fantasy VII, and I guess maybe that other game. But I would much prefer, just go. I think Square needs to do some reconsidering, personally. Kind of rediscover their identity as a game developer and what they used to produce. Because I mean, they used to just produce gold. But I would say, in my opinion, about Final Fantasy X and 12, that was where things really kind of dipped. I don't necessarily count 11 and 14 since those are MMORPGs and in a bit of a different, although they're mainline title technically with the whole, sequential numbering, but for their main, like, single-player RPGs, that I feel like has been what just kind of has lost and fallen off and everything like that. So, yeah, I guess we'll see what they decide to do. It'll all probably hinge, though, on how well the Final Fantasy VII Remake title does. If it's like an uber success, then yes, you could probably see it happening. But if it doesn't hit those numbers that they want and need, then you could see it dropping off. Unlike movies, there's a lot more involved in everything with these projects to get them made versus movies and stuff like that, where they can still pump out slop even if they fail. But then we've been seeing failures not continue and stuff like that. So who knows? We'll see. We'll have to wait and see. Okie dokie. Okie dokie. Artichoke. That one I will have to make sure and keep, because I'll probably clip it. All right. So, if you'll just give me one hot minute, I'll be right back. I just gotta get maybe a refresh on my coffee and hit the restroom. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Alrighty then. Well, let's get into this bit of news here that was rather interesting and quite something to suddenly see. It was like 2 days after the stream, and I first saw this from this account Anonymous, your Anon one, on X here. PlayStation Network is down worldwide. I love Domino's Pizza UK. Not guilty. And I mean, there have been people still pushing. Another reason why physical games are always better than digital, but yeah. So the PlayStation Network had gone down for a hot minute. Where was I? I'd even commented to somebody about it. Oops. Sorry, suddenly doing multiple things here. Because I had seen also Extra Zero on X comment. He says, because he quote tweeted the anonymous account about it, so saying, "How about that old digital future? Hopefully it stays down long enough for people to feel the effects." And that's what I was like, sadly, not enough people will probably catch it, unfortunately, or bother with raising a peep over it. I was like, well, but then I still couldn't help but go with the Joker. I'll laugh anyways. But I now see this comment here. You see, this is exactly the scenario we needed for people to realize that their games will be made unplayable. No amount of loyalty or paid DLC will keep it running. But sadly, you need more the normie crowd to feel the effects. You need them to actually feel inconvenienced by the outages like this. Which I don't think it was probably like a few years ago where there was actually a long span of time and the network technically went down, but you can still play your games and everything. But it still hasn't deterred people away from, oh, things freaked out for a second there. But you know, like I said, it needs to be enough to inconvenience people. So I did see this. I went and dug up an article for this really quick, from this notebook. Check. Sony restores PlayStation Network after global outage. A global PlayStation Network outage left many players unable to access online features or some digital games for several hours. Sony has since restored the service, but the cause remains unknown. That's not good. Sony restored the PlayStation Network after a global outage on July 24th, left many players unable to sign in, play online, or launch some digital games. While the service is working again, the company still has not explained what caused the outage. They've been really Sony's been really kind of keeping tight-lipped as of late. They aren't being very forthcoming or anything like that. And I do wonder if it has to do with the fact that they're closing down the PlayStation 3 and PlayStation Vita stores, if I recall correctly, hearing about that. It's gonna be interesting. But while the services are working again, the company's still okay. The problem affected. Let's pop that open. Let's see. So the PSN outage raises concerns about PlayStation 5 game access after physical disc era ends. It is all rather a funny timing for this, right? Following the demise of PS5 discs in 2028, PSN downtime will become a larger concern. Digital games that require licenses checks may not boot without a functioning network. The most recent outage hasn't been entirely resolved after several hours of gamers unable to sign into accounts. Another widespread PSN outage impacted titles that depend on online connectivity. While some services are returning to normal, physical game advocates are capitalizing. Well, absolutely they should. They claim that after the PS5 disc production dwindles, ownership will become too reliant on Sony's infrastructure. Which games are affected? Down Detector shows that reports of PSN downtime spiked around 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on July 24th. Gamers who were unable to log into PlayStation accounts could not access online services or the PlayStation Store. It also blocked players from multiplayer-oriented titles entirely. Well, of course it did. Even so, in some cases, the outage affected single-player games. PS5 consoles with console sharing and offline play active generally avoided issues. Well, that's good at least. The features allows digital licenses of PlayStation Store purchases to be validated without an internet connection. However, one exception is if a gamer is not using the designated home console. Oh, no! Oh, right, for anybody using... Yeah. The latest incident isn't the first PSN outage to make headlines. In February 2025, the network was offline for 24 hours. Still, that didn't compare to 2011 when hackers shut it down for more than 3 weeks. I remember that. The difference is now physical games are already less common even before Sony stops printing new PS5 discs in 2028. Blu-ray-based single-player titles are largely immune from license checks. That said, mandatory day one updates are common with new releases like Halo Campaign Evolved. Nevertheless, critics argue that unsound networks provide a fallacy of digital ownership rights. 100% uptime may not be realistic. One way PlayStation could address these concerns is by boosting the reliability and security of its servers. Speculation is that simultaneous problems with Amazon Web Services on July 24th are not coincidental. The gaming giant hasn't clarified the role of AWS, the Amazon Web Services, but the cloud service may empower online multiplayer and PSN authentication. Unfortunately, even a company as large as Sony needs the support of multiple partners. If only one of these services has issues, it can cripple features and digital purchases. This is why it is just so funny for some of us that grew up in a time prior to all of this, prior to the forced online connectivity. We remember when you could just rent a game, buy a game, whatever it may have been, slap it in your console and get playing. You didn't have downloads, you didn't have online check-ins, yada yada yada. You just started playing, it didn't matter. So now, and I mean, I won't deny my own part in all this, because things just kind of, as gaming moved along, a lot of us did too. We just kind of went with the flow of everything happening. And I wish I could say there was something in the back of my brain going, hey, this is all a little weird. And it might have been, I don't know. I'll say I had my part. But, things just kind of went along with the flow. It's just like, oh, shit. And then before you know it, now it's where we're at. We are completely adhered to this whole digital future. Let's get back to that original article here. The problem affected several PlayStation Network services, including account management, online multiplayer, the PlayStation Store, PlayStation Video, and Direct. Players using PS5, 4, 3, and Vita reported login failures, server errors, and troubling accessing digital content. And they have this little screenshot here of the PlayStation status. All services are experiencing issues: account management, gaming, social, video, store, direct for PlayStation, the whole 9 yards. Sony confirmed the outage on its official PlayStation Network status page and said it was working to fix the problem. Reports of the outage quickly spread across social media and Down Detector. As more players shared their experiences, the status page now, 9 a.m. GMT, June 25th, 2026, which 4 days ago, shows that the PlayStation Network servers are running normally. The outage also stopped some players from opening digitally purchased games because the console could not verify game licenses while the PSN was offline. Again, this is where it's like, remember I remember when you could slap in a game and get playing. Ah, those were the days. Didn't need this authentication bullshit. So yeah, games that require an online license check were affected the most. Among those especially affected were players waiting to try Marvel Tokon Fighting Souls open beta. I tried a bit of that. It pissed me off because it also was forcing a PlayStation license sort of setup and login that it did not handle smoothly, and every time I booted the game, it served as an error. So you had to go in manually. At least I did. I had to go in manually through Steam just to install the PSN thing, which. You know, there are games where you had to, when you bought the game on Steam, you then had to load up like Ubisoft's launcher or something like that, or maybe an EA launcher. Those worked way more smoothly than this bullshit. So I had to do all that, and then I tried out a bit of the game. It's what if you've played was it oh god, I forgot the developer. Hang on. Arc System. So if you're kind of familiar with Arc System, at least if you played if you'd played Dragon Ball Xenoverse, not Xenoverse, Dragon Ball Fighter Z, it's familiar. I would say it's like, it gave me vibes of old Marvel vs. Capcom. A little bit. Especially since you have the whole 3-player setup. They make it very easy to launch into, like, the special moves and all that sort of stuff. So, I mean, like, I don't know. I get it probably is, like, it's an easy entry. It was an easy entry, tough to master sort of thing. I don't know. Like, it just... It didn't quite grab me like I'm sure it has with other people. I see its appeal, but anyways, that's a whole other thing. The game is set to launch in early August. The outage happened around the same time Amazon Web Services reported network issues in its US West 2 region. Sony has not confirmed that 2 incidences were connected, and the company has not shared any details about cause of the outage. Sony has not revealed if affected users are set to receive any compensation either. Well, why would they? I don't... the comments. Maybe some physical media could help. Stop being a Sony bootlicker, bro. Thank God they're getting rid of discs, Lamau. Like I said, it's certainly the issue when you are wholly dependent on other services. Even your own web servers aren't holding up, so that's a problem right there. But you know, it's funny though, because we had this occur. This all went down, and like they say, it's down for what, 8 hours. Or they say several hours here. I thought I saw it somewhere it said 8 hours. But you know, it wasn't long enough in my. Yeah, you had people talking about, oh yeah, this is what's affecting. This is what's not working. Yada yada yada. Again, it didn't have near. It would need a massive blowback against Sony. I can only hope that this will add to it, but like I said, you need the normie side of things to really feel the effects, to really be inconvenienced and everything like that, for there to be any kind of major significant blowback and stuff like that. Some people to actually take that stance of going, you know what, we're fucking done. Anyways, but with that, it was particularly funny because then shortly after Sony took a dump, we had yeah, so then we had I saw this. And yeah, Xbox also went down. Xbox was down for hours, and users even had trouble playing disc-based games. Account sign-ins, the storefront, and apps were also affected. Just days after widespread outage took out PlayStation's online services for several hours, Xbox faced issues of its own. An outage started affecting several Xbox services on Sunday evening, including accounts, the digital storefront apps, and games across Xbox Series X, S, 1, and 360. Xbox resolved the issue on Monday afternoon. Xbox's status page noted that players may have problems playing digital and disc-based games. It pointed out that users might have problems with logging into their profiles, even if they were signed in. They might have been disconnected. Quote, features that require sign-in like most games, apps, and social activity won't be available. The page stated, it added that folks might have had issues with launching apps and finding games in the store too. In a post on X early Monday, Xbox said, our engineers are actively working to mitigate the issue. Later in that day, Microsoft posted that, quote, things are slowly improving, though players worldwide may still experience failures launching games along with potential sign-in and purchase issues. And then there's the Xbox support post right there. At 6:48 p.m. ET on Monday, I don't know, I thought Eastern Standard Time. Eastern Time? On Monday, the Xbox team wrote on X that the issue, quote, should now be mitigated and that players should once again be able to launch games, sign in, and complete purchases. The Xbox status page showed green lights across the board. The outage came weeks after Xbox laid off 1,600 workers and announced plans to cut another 1,600 jobs by the end of June 2027. Oh my God. Update. July 27th, 2026. Updated the story with Microsoft's latest status update and noted that disc-based games were working again. July 28th update. Updated to note the issue has been resolved. So, interesting that disc-based games have issues, but then again, if a code is on disk, the author authenticating servers aren't, the license validation servers aren't. So, guessing it has to be disc-based games with online services backing it. So it's very much some of the similar stuff that was going on with PlayStation. I had my own, I quote tweeted the article, and I took a screenshot from the Microsoft site showing the issues that it, you know, outage reported at 7/26/2026, 9:10 p.m. We've identified the issues, and this is with downloaded games. Current issues. The resolution pending. Details: you may have problems playing your digital games right now. And then there was the one. This is for disc-based games as well. Major outage. You may have problems playing disc-based games right now. And that's why that's the whole then point with their wordage too. May. So yeah, so like games without that licensing code or needing that online connectivity to enable things, you're okay to still probably play those physical games. It's just anything else, you're a little hosed. But still a big issue. And I had my buddy Static here say, twice in a week's time, outsourcing tech is going to screw things up. This will become more common if things don't change. And I sadly, as I wish things would change, don't foresee it happening anytime soon. And the problems are probably only going to get worse with these outages and stuff like that, and being unable to play your games when it occurs, even physical games. because of requiring something within the code of the console that will prevent you from playing it without that online connectivity. And I did see this from Niche Gamer. Xbox CTO calls major service outage unacceptable and explains what failed. Xbox Chief Technology Officer Scott Van Vliet has apologized for the major outage that prevented players from signing in, viewing their libraries, and launching games, including some titles they owned on disc. Services were restored at approximately 2:30 p.m. PDT on July 27th, following a disruption that lasted much of the day. In a detailed statement, Van Vliet described the situation as unacceptable and admitted Xbox must do better. Do better when supporting its players. According to the executive, the outage began when an external licensing service required by Xbox started failing. This disrupted sign-in attempts and features required entitlement checks, including displaying a player's complete library and confirming ownership when launching games. The failure also affected publishing and storefront partners that depend on the same underlying systems. This reportedly caused the outage to behave inconsistently, with some games and regions recovering earlier than others. Xbox's monitoring system detected the initial problems overnight and triggered a major incident response. Engineers then isolated the failing infrastructure and redirected traffic towards healthy parts of the network while investigating the underlying cause. Van Vliet confirmed that Xbox will now conduct a full post-incident review. The company intends to strengthen the services, supporting account sign-ins and game licenses, remove potential single points of failure, and improve its communication during the future outages. Well, you know, it would probably help if you still also had the staff, but I'm sure it's gonna be a lot of outsourcing and stuff like that all over. And then, you know, this more what I found funny with Niche Gamer with this is that they had the articles detailing about Xbox going down. I just find it a little funny that they didn't have anything so much on PlayStation going down. I mean, they have the PlayStation players boycott here over end of physical games, but man, I didn't find an unless I just missed it entirely. But I went through and I was like trying to find PlayStation outages. They had old articles about the PlayStation outages, just not this one. Weird, but Xbox PlayStation systems going down. One had declared no longer are we going to be servicing physical games. The other has gone through its own thing of we have laid off a core chunk of our staff, and we are all still also waiting how Xbox is going to proceed with physical games. We did have a bit of a thing for Xbox where they were talking about the ability to back up your physical games digitally and all of that, but I think we'll still need to wait and see just what Microsoft will also be going with. We could see them do a whole different turn, much like the E3 where they announced Xbox One and there was a PlayStation 4 announcement. We could see them maybe giving Sony the old finger. But honestly, I've said this before. Microsoft tipped their hat then and showed exactly where they wanted to go with gaming. Sony has now just also outwardly and blatantly showed where they want to take gaming to the complete 100% digital future. They want you to own nothing. You will eat the bugs and live in the pods. But both companies have shown greatly what they want for the future of gaming, and it's not good. But the problem is, not enough people are willing to walk away and stop supporting these companies. because some people still some people have gotten it in their head that we're in some weird golden age of gaming. I would say we are in the worst history of gaming, in my opinion, and it's gonna just only get worse. And you want to say, wonder why I say that? Yes, we have a plethora of games. That's great. However, it's the tactics in which these companies have decided to go about with some of these games. Whether it's become either microtransaction heavy, intentionally withholding content for future DLC sort of stuff. I detailed some of that when it came to, I think it was either the Tokon battle or it was one of the Dragon Ball games that was being talked about. And we've seen it before. Even like if you played Destiny 1, that the ending felt abrupt and very much cut out, that they were waiting to hold out for a DLC, an expansion, whatever. But then these games as a service, games always online. Look at the fight that's having to be put up for preservation of games. Stop killing games initiative. Like, you have to have all this stuff to try and counteract it, but I would still say that gaming has just gotten worse and worse. And yeah, I did say, I think it was last week, I brought up how, you know, technically arcade games were microtransaction ladled, with the whole idea you had to slot a quarter if you wanted that extra life. You had the option, I would say, of renting games if you wanted to, and that was a great way. At least you could put in however much the rental was and be done with the game. But that was probably, in a weird way, the idea of, in a sense, like streaming services almost. You rent it, try it out, see what you feel, and then move on. So, you know, there's been little things sprinkled throughout, but I'd say the industry has gotten even more predatory in the way they go about things, and how basically also you're being used to beta test a game. That's what early access is at this point. Early access is beta testing the goddamn game for them. And instead of I know back in the day too, we didn't have perfect games. Not all of them were in tip-top shape, but you know, that's what made the games that were really shine and stand out. Now it's just, like I say, it's a lot of early access. You're you're paying to test the game instead of them paying you. So you're being used for certain services. And then, like it is, you don't even technically are at a point where you may not even own the game. It could be certain storefronts have made changes. Valve had to make changes only thanks to the European Union, I think, kicking them in the ass for their digital service stuff. So we need like the digital services to change in terms of like consumer rights and stuff like that. It's now turning into a bigger and bigger uphill battle, and who knows where we're all going to be at this point. But you know, we are seeing the future with these companies and where they want to take it. I'm waiting to see where Nintendo's going to be next. Are they going to be the next ones to crash and lose online services for a part of a day? Who's next? I mean, funny thing is, I mean, you know, the nice thing with something like good old games, GOG, you can just download your games fully, install. You can have your installer backed up on your system, and then play it. You can install it and play it offline. You can install them, and then even then, if you download it, install it, play it, there you go, you're offline. Even using the GOG launcher, play it offline, there you go. You have your means of still being able to play your games offline. Yes, Steam has an offline mode, but I think some games still will act a little wonky if you are trying to do offline play. So, you know, GOG is gonna be the better route, and that's certainly, like I've said, I've kind of going in that direction more and more with my game purchases. I'm trying to, at least. Can't always, but you know, that's just it. It's like, where do you go from here? It's not looking good, and I hate to be kind of a doomer on that, but it's just, it is what it is. I want things to change. I want it to get better for gaming. I love this hobby of mine, but you know, it's just there's one thing after another that we're just kind of getting saddled with, and it's just called, well, you know, consume product and get excited for next product, slob. So, and anyways, the whole service is going down for both systems. Is one side entertaining, one side just like, oh shit, this is where we're heading. And I'm waiting to see if Nintendo's gonna be next. I hope for the best, but I'm expecting nothing but the worst. But that is, I mean, hey, at least I'm talking about both PlayStation and Xbox going completely, their services going down like that. So that's funny at least. Anyways, that was that. Joker, how's it going, buddy? Saying howdy, howdy, howdy. Hello to you, sir. Excellent word, plethora. Yeah. Thank you. How are you doing today, sir? Hope you're doing well. Like, I just find it amusing, like I say, with that people can be so willing to be just willingly just take it and accept whatever they're given, instead of being like, no, I deserve better than this. I don't see why anybody should have to tolerate this shit, and yet people do. I just don't understand it. I won't say I'm perfect on adhering to that. I slip up every now and then. I don't deny that. But I generally, try and maintain my level of consistency when it comes to this bullshit. And like I said, like it is, I haven't gotten an Xbox console since the 360. I skipped the Xbox One. I have not gone near the Series X. PlayStation also, I have just kind of walked away from entirely. Although you could say otherwise, considering like I just talked about the Tokon battle, checking out the beta for that game, and then I have played, Helldivers, which is using the PlayStation Network and stuff like that. But the funny thing was that they showed that they didn't need it. It wasn't required. But then they forced it on people regardless. That was the dickheaded thing, and that's why I initially walked away from that game for a good long while. And I mean, shit, since Subnautica, they fired, wrongfully in my opinion, their sound designer, all because he showed some, basically probably more center and then maybe to the right of any kind of political leanings, and they fired his ass. I tried to refund that game, but I have otherwise not played it since. So, I hold true here and there, but I won't ever admit I am perfect with all this. It happens. You can't. I just do what I can. I try my best. And that's all anyone can hope for. So you just try, you just do your best. Try to stay consistent. Try to keep your word, but you just kind of slip up every now and then. These things happen. Not the end of the world. Although some it is the end of the world. Who knows? Hey. All right. Let's see. Okay. So like it is, we've been talking about Xbox and them losing people. They've been, I think, even losing like game companies that they've purchased and stuff like that. And one of them, of course, that's been affected by the whole that has had to depart from Xbox And one of them is Double Fine, led by the one Tim Schafer, who, before he tried to do a bad impersonation of Mankind with Mr. Sacco, had produced and helped develop some pretty great games. You know, there's Full Throttle. One of my also favorites is Brutal Legend. Amazing soundtrack, fun game. The art, the real-time the strategy side of it was a little janky, especially when you're used to playing strategy games. You can kind of feel it was a very new gameplay mechanic for them to mess with, but it was fun overall. The open world, the driving around, upgrading your car, and like I said, the soundtrack was just fantastic. It was a whole metal soundtrack from Ozzy, metal, Motorhead, and they had Ozzy Osbourne. It was great. It was just a fun game overall, but Schafer eventually lost his head. But this is the unfortunate thing with everything going on right now in the industry. This is where I'm saying, no, not everything's all that great in the gaming industry right now, especially as we're seeing all these layoffs. You want to see things thrive, not necessarily die. But anyways, saying these actions are not taken lightly, Double Fine has laid off 23 staff after going independent. The studio says the action was necessary for its survival following its departure from Xbox. Double Fine Productions has announced that it has laid off 23 members of its development staff. The studio, founded in 2000 by former LucasArts veteran Tim Schafer, was acquired by Microsoft in 2019 and developed Rad, Psychonauts 2, Keeper, and Kiln after that. See, yeah, prior, but then, I mean, I think Brutal Legend was, let's see. When was Brutal Legend released? 2013. And that was 2 to 3 years shy, or a year shy, depending on your timelines, but shy of the of all of Gamergate, which is where Schafer lost his mind, and like I said, tried to do a bad Mankind impersonation. If you're familiar with wrestling, you'll understand. Anyways, following news last month that Xbox planned to cut thousands of jobs as part of what CEO Asha Sharma called, quote, the most significant restructure in Xbox history. However, a number of Microsoft-owned studios faced closure. Some of these studios started negotiating with Xbox to go independent in an attempt to avoid closure, and Double Fine was successful in these negotiations, along with South of Midnight studio Compulsion Games. As a newly independent studio, however, Double Fine has found itself having to cut costs to remain a going concern, which it says has led to layoffs. Today, Double Fine Productions let go of 23 members of our staff, Schafer said in a statement posted on Blue Sky. As a small, tightly knit team, these actions are not taken lightly. Only the survival of our studio would ever make us consider such a painful action. Our transition to becoming an independent company also means becoming a size that we can sustain. Further quote, the people that we are losing were all important. They all made an impact on our games and culture, and they will be missed. We are committed to supporting each affected person as best as we can, and we thank them for their hard work and commitment to the creative spirit we cherished here at Double Fine. Okay, so here's the Double Fine post from from Blue Sky, of course. Yeah, so that's so that's the same thing right there from Tim. While becoming an independent studio was doubtless considered preferable to being shut down entirely by Xbox, the move is not guarantee of safety, and such studios will have to work on new projects soon to bring in finances. I'm trying to think too, like, what was their last? So, I mean, they mentioned Psychonauts 2, and I know they put out remasters. Yeah, Full Throttle and Day of the Tentacle. So, okay, Kiln was their latest game from 2026, and Keeper from 2025. I was trying to think, I was like, what was even the last game, though, that company put out? Psychonauts 2 was 2021. So, yeah, even then there was kind of a gap in everything. I remember Broken Age being panned, but I don't know like how it actually is. And yeah, I remember seeing this Kiln game. I think one of the Microsoft Directs or something. Which it seemed kind of like an interesting take on multiplayer and stuff like that. But anyway, earlier this month, Compulsion Games, which also recently became independent following its acquisition of Microsoft in 2018, posted a message on LinkedIn page reaching out to other studios, offering collaborative work on any project they may need a partner for. Quote, with Compulsion Games returning to its roots as an independent developer, we are expanding opportunities to collaborate with studios across games and entertainment, it said at the time. So, yeah, it's unfortunate when anybody loses their jobs like this. It's never a good thing. I feel for those 23 people. It sucks. But unfortunately, that is the current state of the industry. Xbox is letting go. They let go 1,600 people. They are looking to then be letting go another 1,600. And it's I sometimes am wondering if all of this that's taking place is kind of we're looking at another potential video game crash. I know I keep hoping for it, and at the same, I guess it's kind of contradictory of me to say that, looking forward to a video game crash, and talk about it sucks for these people who get laid off, because a video game crash would mean even more people being laid off. But it could mean, though, like, some of these people maybe then get to flourish as independents, and that could be a source of a revival for video games, maybe getting back to what we used to know for the kind of quality and creativity and all sorts of different things that what built the industry. You could hope, at least that's what it would do. But we're all kind of playing a wait and see game, and it sucks when any of this happens. But Microsoft has been making a lot of radical changes right now, and I don't know if it is just because of their new CEO and stuff like that. Things are being shooken up. Things are being maybe scaled down in certain regards. I've heard a lot of different rumors when it's come to Xbox and Microsoft. Even Xbox maybe disconnecting from Microsoft as a whole. Who knows? That'd be interesting. But yeah, it's unfortunate to see this, even though, like, it is my dislike towards Schaefer for being the dickhead that he had been over time. But it's not for the little folks. It sucks because he has a name he's built up for himself that he can certainly survive off of. But for anybody else, the little folks, that's gonna be a little more tougher for them. So I do mean it does suck for them, and it's again, a lot of these companies doing such massive releases of all their people is not a good sign for the industry as a whole, in my opinion. So all we can kind of continue to do is really wait and see on where this will all take us. So yeah, that I thought was kind of quite the little thing to find there this morning. As I was just kind of scouring through my bookmarks just to see what I had. And like I said, that's another game I need to replay one of these days is Brutal Legend. I should probably I probably that I thought about it. I think this morning when I had found this article, I was like, maybe I should do that as like a Rumble Odyssey Kick exclusive, or maybe just a Rumble and Odyssey exclusive, just to kind of, you know, because like it is, the soundtrack will kick your ass on YouTube. Like they'll flag that in a heartbeat, and it's the soundtrack to that game is essential. You can't just like, you know, turn it off or anything like that. Like that is one of those essentials that you have to have going while you're playing the game. So anyway, that was that. Again, unfortunate news, but kind of the course for the way they've been doing business as of late with these companies, you know. Unfortunately, as it is, cause and effect. Cause and effect. Okay. As the title of the stream mentions, we do have some, we have a bit of a monstrous side of things. Another monster game that is, or will be, so it's kind of funny. I was just bitching about early access stuff. But we do have one that'll be it doesn't have it just says coming soon. But, you know, I'm always down for a monster or kaiju battle game, or kaiju game, however you want to put it. But here we have, and this is funny, like, I did see a trailer on I saw it on PlayStation, but I'm not going to their YouTube channel right now. But we did have this Beastlink on Steam, so you could wishlist it over on here which I'm probably going to. But Beastlink is a giant multiplayer kaiju experience where humans, vehicles, and colossal beasts collide in urban environments in unprecedented scale. Where absolutely everything you see can be destroyed. Build your link and unleash your power before it consumes you. So this is from Grove Street Games. Let's see, what have they done else? Let's see, they've Auralux Constellations is their other game here. Huh. Is a way to sequel to Auralux, the critically acclaimed minimalistic real-time strategy game. Explore a dozen new gameplay. Huh, interesting. Anyways, let's see here. What else do they have for this guy? They have their own Discord if you want to join their community there. But about this game, the world didn't end, it evolved. Humanity survives in shattered strongholds. Colossal creatures rule the ruins. And survival depends on the very technology that ended everything. Beastlink is a brand new experience where humans, vehicles, and colossal beasts collide in a fully destructible cities in unprecedented scale. Fight your way through war-torn urban cities, amass the coveted serum, and use it to link with towering beasts, each with unique abilities and combat styles. Play as both human and beasts across multiple game modes, solo or with other players. Deploy vehicles like cars, helicopters, tanks, and aircrafts to unleash chaos. Pure chaos. Bringing everything crashing down. The stronger your link grows, the more power you command, and the more it threatens to consume you. Smash skyscrapers, obliterate city blocks, and reshape the city skyline with your proprietary super destruction technology and groundbreaking destruction system, where everything can be reduced to dust. Key features: become the beast, earn serum and Beastlink with dormant kaiju, unlocking unique abilities, playstyles, and devastating powers. The human vehicles beasts on one battlefield. Excuse me. Fight as a human, support your squad with vehicles, or become the ultimate weapon. The ultimate bio weapon! Every role is needed in large-scale team-based warfare. Super destruction. Level entire cities with fully networked physical-based destruction system. Collapse buildings, carve new paths, and weaponize the environment. Every match reshapes the map. Nothing is off limits. Destroy anything you see. Each map contains hundreds of thousands of destructible items. Multiplayer mayhem. Battle across huge maps designed up to 32 players. Wow. And multiple active beasts, delivering chaotic gameplay at scale. Master unique beasts. Control a growing roster of beasts, which each with distinct strengths, abilities, and playstyles. From agile aerial hunters to relentless close-range brutes. A world on the edge. Uncover the truth behind the world-ending outbreak and the cost of keeping humanity alive. Well, that has quite the premise to it. Now, let's take a look at the trailer and see what it has to say for itself. Alright, here we go.
They're rushing the serum drop! Stop them! We can't! Air support is down! We need something bigger! Hold the line! He's leaking! Beastlink activated.
Oh, so that must... So this is what they're talking about for this... Was it... Hang on, where... This is the serum that you have to go and capture, but I'm wondering, like... Is it only one person that's allowed to get access, or does your little squad here that shows the 4 people also get access to being able to get the serum power up?
He's leaking! Beastlink activated. Is this big enough for you?
Okay, the shark dude looks kind of cool. Oh! Big old spider beast. Kind of like we got our Godzilla stand-in here. Big old lizard-looking dude. Although I think I saw somebody mention it. It's kind of got giving those Rampage vibes with the selection with the lizard, the monkey. Although I guess no giant rat, but you got a giant shark. Okay, so it showed it. Hang on, where was that? And then here it showed the guy taking possession, I guess, of the monster. There it goes. Interesting. Beastlink coming to Steam Early Access. Oh, okay. So next month, August 18th, 2026. Cool. But I mean, again, early access, like I say, you're kind of... Oh, and they have it you can wish list it on Steam, Xbox Series X, and PlayStation 5. Like I said, though, you're still doing the whole early access. You're kind of paying to test the game and all of that. Hopefully it's in a good state, though, upon this early access, but that's always so questionable at times. There's been select few games that have made it out of early access and into a proper state. So, just have to wait and see, I suppose. But, you know, like I said, kaiju action, always fun. Monster action, always fun. Destroying cities. I mean, the destruction of the cities looks pretty good. Or I think it's with the shark bro here. Yeah, like that was looking pretty good. Looking like you got some good collision and everything for destroying the buildings and all that. This is looking a little bit better than I think a couple of the other kaiju fighting games and stuff like that that we looked at on this channel so far. But it's an interesting concept too, that you have to kind of gain the serum to then take control of the beasts of certain beasts, and it makes me kind of wonder like how it's gonna all play out with them on the field and stuff like that. So otherwise, like I say, it looks like it could be a real blast. I'll be throwing that on my wish list is to keep an eye on for sure. That's funny. Similar games you've played: Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain. Really? Huh. I guess. But I mean, we do have Xbox controller support, PlayStation controller support. It doesn't have de novo, so that's always a good sign. But I mean, yeah, they're going to require your third-party Beastlink EULA. But otherwise, says why early access? With Beastlink, we are trying to do something very new. There are 3 levels of gameplay asymmetry: on foot, in vehicles, and as a beast kaiju. We're finding a ton of interesting ways to make this really exciting, but we are in unexplored territory with the level of scale and destruction. We know it's only possible to find best experiences by involving the larger community as a true part of our development cycle. I get that. I really do. Like I said, I only hope that they will find success in this. That'll be good, and then can release the full game. I don't know if I'll jump into early access. Like I said, I'm always iffy on early access anyways. Always have been. But it will be kind of curious to see like the full roster of monsters that they have available and all of that. But otherwise, I mean, the trailer looks good. Looks like it kind of was it that game Evolve was kind of the first asymmetrical online kind of multiplayer game where you had to eventually work up to becoming the vicious creature that the players had to fear, because otherwise you're being hunted up until that point. So otherwise, like I said, it sounds interesting. Looks good. Some of it is looking good already. I wish we got to see some more of this environment. I'm kind of curious with this like more forested area outside the city. Would have been cool to see more of that. But I mean, I get it, because you want to show off the destruction. That's kind of the main focus there. And I mean, we see a different creature here, and maybe that's the bat creature back there. We see some flying insects. That's probably the smaller stuff you get to fight before you transform and free the beast. So that's cool. That's cool. Like I said, it looks cool. Looks interesting. I'll be looking forward to seeing what comes of this. Otherwise, yeah, that is Beastlink. Check it out if you so desire. It's got it all. It'll be on the other consoles and stuff if you want. And if you want to go for early access, that's an option. So there you go. There you go. All right. All right. Let's see here. Okay. So, and this is kind of the funny thing. Speaking of games that are, because we had this day in gaming, there was a list. There's 2 games that was showing today, but they neglected to post one on there. And this is a game that we played the demo on the channel to check it out, to kind of get an idea for it, because this was a style of game I've never really played. And so, at least to my knowledge, and so it was kind of fun getting to check it out, see how it played, what the idea behind it was, and all of that. So, and this game is releasing today, and that is Dverghold. I think I said that correctly. From the developer Cult Games and teams Sorgarn. Oh, they say /Team Sorgarn. Interesting. Publisher AIP, who also helped publish The Great Rebellion from Cult Games. But they are also going early access, it looks like, for their release. And they say, why early access? We want to develop Dverghold with direct community feedback. The core dungeon crawling mechanics, combat systems, and character progression are going to be functional, but we believe player input on balance, difficulty, and additional content will help us create the best possible game. Early access allows us to build Dverghold together with the community. That's kind of again where I say things like that falls into you are paying to test our game. But yeah, but regardless, for the description of this game, if you haven't, when the dwarves in Dverghold awakened something ancient beneath the Isle of Request, King Starin sent word across the shattered sea: brave the haunted depths, or let the darkness rise. Old school dungeon crawler with turn-based action, with turn-based combat, and atmospheric soundtrack by dungeon synth artist Splendorious. And like I said, we played the demo on this channel. It was a lot of fun. And yes, as this curator says, official DevX account is based in pro-Western values. Recommend. And just to kind of rehash here. Oh, come on. Expand, damn you! Oh, it's kind of taking it really quickly. Hello, Real Wade Nation Gaming. How are you doing? Forgot to hang out with me 7 days ago. I said if I could make it. I did not make any promises. I'm sorry I didn't make it, though. That night, I think I just ended up crashing because of already having somebody over at the place and all of that. So I'm sorry I didn't make it. My bad. But I didn't promise nothing. I said I would try. That's what I always get. I laugh. It's like I'll say I try, and I'm very intentional. I'll try to make certain things. So, anyways, back to. Well, it's still borking out on me. God dang it. No worries, Wade. You're good. It says, oh, okay. I forgot that. No big deal. No, you're good. You're good. Hang on. Oh, what the hell? The thing crashed out on me. Just crashed completely. Anyways, so yeah. A return to the golden age of first-person dungeon crawling. Lead the party up to 4 into haunted depths of Request, sorry. Grid-based exploration and traditional dungeon master, Eye of the Beholder, and Might and Magic, paired with tactical turn-based combat where positioning, timing, and the terrain around you can mean the difference between glory and death. And I believe we did encounter some of that when I played the demo. It was fun. I enjoyed it because, like I said, I hadn't played a game like that before. Between expeditions, return to your base camp near the mining town Grav Hollow. Recruit mercenaries, upgrade your camp, and speak with the characters there. Each has their own story to tell and their own part to play in Dverghold. Inspired by the blobber dungeon crawlers of the 90s, with home base and roster management in the spirit of Darkest Dungeon and the archaic soundscapes of Dungeon Synth, Dverghold is built for those who remember when games didn't hold your hand, and for a new generation discovering the genre for the first time. The Shattered Sea, when the last great age of civilization was sundered by the breaking of the earth, a new folk arose from the ashes and set their mark upon the world of Hirdengard. that realm which is now called the Shattered Sea. Through storms, pestilence, and ceaseless foes, without number, the dwarves of Dverghold were tempered, and by fire and iron were forged as the undisputed power of the Sea of Thorns. Dwarves' first forays awakened something ancient and hungry in the deep, and the shadows beneath Request began to stir. Weary from a brutal campaign against the mountain trolls, King Stern II now turns to the outside world. His envoys travel across the waters to the prosperous land of city, to the prosperous island city of Presden, and beyond, seeking any who possess the courage or desperation to descend into the dark. From distant coasts, from battered ships, and from hidden corners of the Shattered Sea, they come. Adventurers, wanderers, vagabonds, willing to risk not only their lives, but their very souls to stand with Dverghold against the rising dread below Request. So yeah, you got your first-person dungeon delving. You navigate the halls of Request, level by level. Handcrafted dungeons full of secrets, traps, and worth. Every corner could hide treasure or death. Every step deeper reveals more of what lurks below. Tactical turn-based combat. Arrange your party in a classic front row, back row formation and engage in turn-based battles where positioning and timing matter. Prepare your skills, lure foes into hazards, and time your strikes. Instead of menu-driven combat, imagine a more first-person shooter like gameplay, but turn-based. Resources are precious, enemies are cunning. Sometimes retreat is the wiser choice. A place full of stories. Your base camp is more than a place to rest. Speak with the mercenaries of the Saltbound Company, the quartermaster who supplies you, and strange folk drawn to Request for their own reasons. Their words will guide you in a strange world of Hirdengard. Adapt and improve. Recruits come with random skills and serve as long as exhaustion, disease, and dungeon will allow. Build your strategy around the roster you have, which may not always be the roster you wish you had. Build your camp inspired by the likes of Hamlet and Darkest Dungeon. Your camp near Inner Grav Hollow grows with you. Recruit new heroes, upgrade facilities, manage resources, and prepare for your next expedition. Death has consequences. Will you spend your hard-won resources to recruit a veteran warrior, or press on with the green recruits? Every loss matters. Handcrafted dungeons, living depths. The halls of Request are designed by hand, not generated by chance. But the dangers within shift between expeditions. Monsters patrol where they will. Treasure caches hold what fortune allows. Doors once locked may yield to keys you did not have before. Learn the layout. Never assume you know what waits around the next corner. Holy moly. The Royal Decree. Let it be known across the Shattered Sea that His Majesty King Dverghold issues a solemn decree to all allies and brave souls of the realm and beyond. The newly claimed island of Request lies besieged, its mines and hollows assailed by unseen and unnameable fiends. Our armies still blooded from their hard-won victory over the savage mountain trolls can no longer stand alone against this fresh tide of horror. Therefore, the crown calls upon dwarves, citizens of Presden, wanderers, sellswords, and seekers of renown to take up arms and descend into the haunted depths and deeps of Request. Those who dare to face the lurking evil may find not only honor, but wealth, glory, and their names etched in the chronicles of Dverghold. Amnesty and royal provisions shall be granted to all who answer this call, but steel your will and bring what gear you may, for the shadows beneath Request show no mercy. By order of King Stern II. Original dungeon soundtrack. Dverghold has a dungeon synth soundtrack by renowned artist Splendorius and Curald Galen. Splendorius has even exclusively composed an entire album for Dverghold. Haunting melodies and cozy atmospheric soundscapes accompany your descent. This is a full atmospheric album written for the game. Each track captures the essence of a fallen kingdom, melancholy, laments of abandoned halls, oppressive silence in the deep, and the corruption that has taken hold. This is the game for fans of dungeon synth, dark ambient, and atmospheric black metal. Let's go. The reclamation of Request, Dverghold unfolds episodically throughout early access as the mountain is reclaimed level by level. Each major update represents another section wrested back from the darkness. So this is interesting. They give you a bit of a... I can't think of the word right now, but a bit of a, outline of what they are planning here. Act 1 for the Throne and Oath, early access launch, summer 2026. Your first expedition into Request, establish your base, recruit your party, and face what dwells in the abandoned halls where the dwarves once lived. Reconquer the throne of the Dwarven King, fighting your path through stone and marble of the Dwarven halls. Act 2, what lies beneath, is in development. Descend to the flooded caverns beneath the living quarters, which host a natural wonder deep underground lake and the ruins of a civilization gone. Act 3, the Twisted Realm, planned. The deepest section of Request await. What eldritch horrors lie in the heart of the corruption will be revealed as we descend together. Your feedback shapes each descent. Early access supporters help determine the path deeper into darkness. Full release, complete story arc through all acts, all planned content, additional polish. The final confrontation at the heart of Request. Hello there. Features at a glance: classic grid-based first-person dungeon crawling, turn-based tactical combat with positioning and strategy. Base upgrading, so this is all the stuff we already know. No hand-holding, just dwarves, eldritch monstrosities, and inexplorable darkness beneath a Request await you. Answer the call and descend. Dverghold. So they do have a new trailer too for the release or the early access. We'll maybe take a look at the first one and then we'll go to the newest one. How about that? So let's get that going. Just to kind of get a first starting idea. Look at that. It looks like a Wampa. Unusual wall decoration. Nice. Oh! That was a fun thing. When I did try out the demo, like, it was very easy to get into, very easy to kind of understand the mechanics and stuff like that, or at least just how to play. I'm used to turn-based games as it is, so that was Brutus, and stuff like that. So for me, it was just interesting just the way it was set up, especially like when you got bigger groups coming in on you and attacking you. That kind of took some getting used to. And especially then just the setup of the grid base and the way people attacked and how the enemies would attack you from behind. So, but anyways, here is now also their early access release trailer. We'll check out now.
In wake of ruin rose a kingdom bold, to stay
I like that.
upon the Isle of Regist's Hold.
Nice. Goddamn floppy disks. Old school dungeon crawling. Recruit heroes. Turn-based combat. That is kind of the thing I got curious about, was building the base up and stuff. Now he... Ooh, nice. Early access available on Steam on July 29th, 2026. 2206? Wait. 2026. I think they needed to I think they should re-upload this and get that corrected there, guys. 'Cause I don't think it should be 20206. That's way into the future, bruh. But anyways, yeah, so it's still, let me reload really quick and see what it says. So from this point, as I'm recording this, as I'm streaming this, it has an hour to unlock approximately. My curiosity then, I don't think it's going to be on there, but I'm going to check anyways, just because the trailer doesn't mention it. No. I wanted to check GOG really quick to see if maybe they had it on there, but they don't. No big deal. Steam is the bigger platform as it is, and so I get it. But if you want to, and I mean, it'll be curious. I don't see a price yet, so that'll be curious to see what the release price is going to be for early access. But if you want to, by all means, check it out. I'll be very curious of it. Like I said, I'm gonna wait and see the price upon release. Maybe I'll jump into the early access. Maybe I won't. I'll decide on that. I just know I have enough that I have lined up that I need to get around to. And otherwise, that was Dverghold. Bada boom, bada bing. Hello, Black Pill Timon. How are you doing there? Saying, hey, Fracture Filter. Hello, sir. How are you doing today? And hello, Dan Blackroyd. How are you? Saying, long, dark, narrow passages, getting attacked from behind. So much vivid imagery. I'd still rather... I'd still rather the vent. The vent is where you know you are safe. That is certainly where you know you are safe. Yes, 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 yes. But that is where I'm going to conclude everything. This was a blast. Covered all of the Xbox bullshittery and PlayStation their services going down, which, you know, on one hand is pretty hilarious. So we covered all that. Good times. I'm sorry that some of you are just getting here, and I'm gonna be closing out. This is why I have thought about changing the time of when I do this stream. And let me know. Please drop a comment or anything like that. But otherwise, here we go. So again, thank you all for who have been here. Dash, you've been here since we started, and then probably lurking while in between. Appreciate it. Real Wade Nation Gaming jumped in here. We had Joker's voice as well. And the latecomers here for Dan Blackroyd and Black Pill Timon. As always, guys, I always appreciate you guys dropping by one way or another, checking things out, watching the streams, or if you're lurking, it's all good. I appreciate it one way or another. Thank you so much. As always, it's fun getting to talk video games. I gotta get Hitman to finally solidify certain things. So we'll see on that one. Otherwise, again, thank you all so much for being here. I'll catch y'all later. Have a great day, night, evening, whatever, afternoon, whatever the heck you may be watching this. Have a good one. Bye-bye.